Hi friends, my name's Alexis. I'm a freelance editor and I'm the owner of Oak and Dagger Editing. First and foremost, cheers. This is not sponsored by Red Bull. The first book that I read for the month of January was Master of Salt and Bones by Keri. This book took me an entire month to read because I started it on December 7th and I finished it on January 5th. This book was not for me. And a lot of that has to do with me not really being in the mood or the mindset for a dark romance. I did really enjoy those dark horror-esque type of elements that are within this novel, just like I did with Anathema, but I was really looking for more dark fantasy. And I just want to make a PSA that when you are utilizing a book tracking website, whether that be Goodreads or Storygraph or Fable, whatever you use, please ensure that you are shelving these books on the correct shelves. I find that sometimes people often categorize these types of books based on the author, not the book themselves, and that can get really confusing to some people. This was a mistake that I made. I should have done some more research, but I went into this blind thinking it was a dark fantasy. And a lot of my disappointment came from it being a dark romance with no fantasy incorporated into it. The book itself was written well. You can tell that it was her first book, but overall, a pretty good story. My next read of the month was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I listened to this book and I also listened to the two other books in the series prior to this at the end of December. And I just want to say that Abby Jimenez is a master in the art of writing Anyway, Abby is the master of creating these characters that are very multi-layered, as if you were peeling layers off of an onion to get to the core. And she also shows these very realistic experiences that people go through. And my favorite thing about Abby and her writing style is that she does so much research that you can't help but realize how much effort she has put in into portraying these characters and these people and these experiences and these struggles correctly. And I really appreciate and respect that about her the most. She has very quickly become my all-time favorite contemporary romance author. I loved the Part of Your World series. I'm very excited because she has a book coming out this year. And I am currently reading a little novella by her. I think it's called The Fall Risk. And so far, I'm enjoying that one as well. In the spirit of wanting to continue and complete series that I have started, I picked up If Love Had a Price by Anna Huang. I love Anna Huang. But something that I find happens frequently is that there's one book in the series that I really dislike. In her Twisted Love series, I really dislike Twisted Hate. There's a specific circumstance that happens in that book that really changes the trajectory of how I felt about certain characters. And in the Kings of Sin series, which is one of my favorite series by her, I really disliked King of Sloth because it was really paced strangely and also boring. So this book just so happened to be that book for this series. I felt like the characters just weren't believable. It was really strange because in this book, the entire premise, and this is not a spoiler because it does say it on the back of the book, is that she is hiring this man to seduce her future stepmother because she doesn't believe that her intentions with her father are true. Is she wrong? Who am I to say? But within like 3 chapters, she's talking about how attracted she is to this man and her feelings for him start to develop already, which is really strange considering the circumstances. And then they just continue to go on with this weird dynamic. So with that, like the storyline is almost rushed in a way because their relationship between each other is just really forced. So not a huge fan of this. I gave this one 2 stars. Then I picked up the audiobook for Tiny Dark Deeds by Eden O'Neill. This is another series that I'm really trying to complete. I liked this book a lot. I felt like it wrapped up the characters and the storyline really well. And I think that this entire series could have ended with this book alone, but not so much that it changed how I felt about it, but I did feel like there were portions that could have been more condensed. That's, I think, her writing style, and that's perfectly fine. I did give this one 4 stars. I did really enjoy the first 3 in this series. This is a dark academic bully romance, It was really well written. I really liked the first 3. I did already finish the 4th one this month, but I'll talk more about that in a future video. And then I finally picked up another physical read with Forgotten Flare by Kelsey Leign. This book is an indie author's book and it's her debut novel. She's currently working on book 2 and I'm gonna have the honor of helping her edit the 2nd book, so I wanted to get this book completed in January. I really like the premise and the storyline. This book does include a lot of things that I typically don't like, which is like urban fantasy and YA, which is young adult if you're not familiar. I typically veer away from those things. They're just not types of books that I really like to enjoy, and I never want to give a review for something that I don't feel is either consistent with what I normally do, an honest review. So I typically try to stay away from those things because I don't want to hurt anybody's ratings with biased viewpoints when I know that those are things that I just don't like. But I went into this one with a clear head and I set aside my previous notions of what I like and dislike, and I went into this just kind of wanting to feel the vibes. I really liked the storyline. I thought that the twist was really well done. I did go into this with an editor's mindset, so I did guess the twist at the end. I was very suspicious, but I think that for the most part people who read this would not be able to guess, and it was just really well done. So I'm excited to work on book 2 with Kelsey next month. I did have the opportunity of completing the If Love series by Huang by finishing it out with If We Were Perfect. This book was really well done. I gave this 4 stars. I thought that the relationship between the 2 main characters was well done, but it was set up really well by the first 2 books since these characters knew each other and had dated previously. I really liked the pacing of this. I thought it was really well done. I think that just after the book previous to this, I was a little turned off from the series. I know that this is her first series that she came out with, I believe, and that's very evident because I feel like the other series are just fleshed out a little bit better. But these are really short books, and honestly, if you're looking for something that's just kind of like an easy read and super fast paced, then you'll really like these books. This last one is a little tough for me because I probably could have given it less than that, but I wanted to be nice about it. It was Nettle and Bone by Kingfisher. I pulled this out of my wrap TBR. I'm doing 1 per month, and these are books that I don't feel like picking up, so that's why they're in there, to force me to read the books that have been on my shelf for a really long time. What I didn't realize in going into this is that this author also wrote another book that I had read last year, not in 2024, in 2023, which was called Thornhedge, which I had heard a lot about and people were raving about it, and I personally didn't like it because it was very Disney retelling-esque, and I typically don't like those types of books. So while it was a novella and it was a quick read and it helped with my reading goal at the time, I knew that those types of stories just weren't something that I was that interested in. This one was, I feel, marketed a little strangely. It is marketed as a fantasy. It is marketed as like a witch kind of story, which that is what it is. Those are the things that it is. I would have wished that there was a subplot of like a Disney retelling, kind of as if the evil witch that gives the poisoned apple to the princess, right? Those types of vibes, and that's just not something that I like. So I wish that this would have been marketed differently. If you like Disney retellings, you'll probably like this. If you like a Disney retelling told from the villain's point of view, you'll probably like this. I'm not saying that those are the things that happen in this, but those are the vibes that you get, and it just wasn't for me. I had a hard time visualizing the things that were happening in this book. I had a hard time wanting to be interested in it. I was not engaged. I finished it, but overall I would most likely not pick this up again, and I'll probably re-gift it. Those are the 7 books that I completed in the month of January, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you about the books that I'm reading in February, which is Black History Month. If you're not already diversifying your reading, don't just use this month to diversify and say, okay, check the box. Make sure that you're adding diverse authors into your daily reading. There are so many authors out there, and our Black authors only make up about 5 to 7% of the books that are out there in the world. Make sure that you are supporting your indie authors and giving them your love because they need it right now the most. And just make sure that you are keeping an open mind about different types of books. Remember also that indie authors rely heavily on the reviews that you give them, so please be mindful of that. You can always just opt out of leaving a star review on different websites. I love you guys so much. Bye.